George Moss, come on up, give him a hand.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for allowing me to be here. I've known about Camp Yeshua for a while, and it's like I never thought that they would allow a rapper to come and speak to Hebrew kids, but hopefully they don't fire me after this year. We'll see what happens. It's so funny that I get a chance to tour around the Christian music world. I've been all over the country, all over this world, and I always tell people this is not anything I ever thought I would be when I grew up. I grew up in mainstream church. I went to Messiah Missionary Baptist Church. I grew up in one of them like old Southern gospel black churches where my grandma sat on the second pew. She had a big hat on. It was hot. She'd have a fan on in the summertime. It was like, I absolutely hated going to church. Do I have anybody else that just kind of hated going to church, or is this just me? Okay, we got a couple of honest people back there. Thank you, I appreciate it. I remember one time sitting in church and the pastor was preaching, and sometimes the Holy Spirit speaks to you and it's like, one day you're gonna be up there sharing about me to a bunch of people one day. And in my little kid mind, I was like, no, I'm not. God, I'm going to be a Ninja Turtle. That's what I'm going to be when I grow up. The only thought that ran through my mind. But I'll make a long story short. They started doing this rap ministry thing at my church, and I hated going, but the only reason why I would go, because I could either sit upstairs with my big grandma in church all day, or I could go and do this stupid rap stuff with these kids, because rap at the time was like, to rap at church was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, why would somebody do that? But I was like, well, I guess I'll go spend some time with these stupid kids. I go down there and I started to, do this little rap music, and, one thing leads to another, and another church asked us to come there, and another church asked us to come, and later on, fast forward years later, that little faith that I did have by being forced to go to church grew into something where now I'm actually doing ministry full time, and I find myself on this really huge concert tour called Winter Jam. And I'm out there with these biggest names in Christian music. I'm riding on the tour bus, and it became a dream of mine to even accomplish something like that. And I get there, I'm sharing the gospel. It's really transformed my life. And kids every single night were coming up to me afterwards asking me like, yo man, love your set, man. Where'd you get your hat from? Or where'd you get your shirt? Where'd you get your shoes? I'm like, that's weird, but all right. I got it at the mall, I got it from PacSun. And there were kids that would literally go to the mall and buy the same hat and shirt that I was wearing on stage and send me a picture, like on Twitter. And I'm like, you guys are weirdos. You didn't even buy my music. You just went and bought this stupid t-shirt. And I realized that no matter what, when you're up on a stage, sometimes people emulate how you dress and the lifestyle you lead and things like that. And God told me that that's kind of a platform that comes with the territory. So I'm talking to a bunch of different record labels at the time, and I'm sitting down with this one record company. I'm in between tours, and he's asking me what does George Moss stand for? What is that about? What's the brand about that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just want to make music. I never thought about anything like that. And he asked me what do I actually stand for? The question really confused me for a minute, and I went to the mall right after that meeting because I had to go get some more clothes for the next tour, because at the time I was like, I wanted to be fly when I'm up on stage. And I go into the mall and I go to my favorite store, and I was gonna wear the same brand that I was wearing all last tour, and then they had a new collection out called Visuals. And on this Visuals collection, it had all these pictures of these half-naked women on the front of the shirts. And I was like, this is the brand that I was overspending money on to try to look cool in front of everybody else. And not only that, this is the brand that I was encouraging other people to go get when I'm out on this big concert tour. And God was just I was just really convicted. I'm like, God, you gave me this platform, and I'm sharing about you and I'm talking about you, but this is what I'm associating myself with. And I started to, I'm never gonna do that again. I'm gonna go to the Christian bookstore to go find me a t-shirt. And I'm not sure if you guys ever been to a Christian bookstore to find a t-shirt. I know some of y'all have, because I've seen them. They have these shirts there. One of the shirts had a taco on the front of it. You ever seen that one? It said, let me taco to you about Jesus. You ever see it? I was like, I don't even know if I want to be a Christian anymore after seeing that. I'm not wearing that. And I saw all these other things. I was like, you know what, God, what am I supposed to do right here? I don't want to be cheesy. I don't want to it's funny and all that, but I was like, what am I standing for? What am I really doing with this platform? After doing some study, I came across a scripture that I read 1,000,000 times, but it really jumped out to me. Matthew 11:29, where it says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I'm meek and I'm humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. Now, the thing that stood out to me at first was this idea that we'll find rest for our souls, because people think that, riding on tour buses and doing music and all that stuff is really cool and glamorous, but you don't see the fact that it takes 60, 70, 80 hours of work per week, and then getting on a plane or getting on a bus and you're exhausted all the time, you're working all these long hours, and you gotta smile and put on a show all the time, no matter where you're at. You gotta go to the right parties and talk to the right people and prove yourself to people. And at the time I was defining my success as in how many records I can sell, or how many songs I can get on the radio, or who I knew, and all these things that I wanted to do to make it in the Christian music world. And I was burning myself out trying to please other people and try to impress other people and try to look cool. And God was just like, you don't need a Grammy on the wall. You don't need a hit song. You don't need any of those things to impress me. If you just take my yoke upon you and learn from me, you'll find rest for your souls. I was like, I want to find that rest. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper, like us Torah people and weirdo people always do. We go a little bit too far down a bunny trail. It says, in order to find rest, you have to take his yoke. I didn't know what a yoke was. I had to Google it. Some of y'all homestead people, y'all know what yokes are. I was like, I don't know what this is. So this yoke is this wooden beam that you put on the back of 2 oxen to go out into the field to do the work of their master. And he's painting this word picture of how oxen would carry this yoke. Now, every rabbi at the time would have a certain yoke or a certain worldview or theology that they would teach. So the Pharisees had a certain theology, the Sadducees had a certain theology, the Greeks had a certain theology, the Medes, the Persians, all these different people groups. Fast forward today, you got all these different people that have the same type of thing. You got the Baptists and the Lutherans and the Hebrew. I mean, you go to Hebrew roots folks, you got a whole bunch of different belief systems and all that. And what Christ was saying at the time is like, listen, don't listen to all these different worldviews and theology. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. And then I was like, okay, what did Jesus actually say? What was his words? What does he actually believe? So I'm digging into this, and I'm also realizing, okay, why is he using this example? And I realized that when you get a set of oxen, the very first thing you do is you don't just put a yoke on them and send them out to the field to do work. The very first thing in animal husbandry, when you first get a set of oxen, the first thing you do is a master would take one of these hot branding irons right here, and they would stick it into some hot coals, or this was a freeze brand, you would stick it into some dry ice, and it would get to the point where it's so cold or so hot, and they would burn it onto the side of that animal. And the reason why they would take this thing and they would burn it onto the side of the animal is that this would brand them. This is where the ideas of brands come from. And they would brand that animal so that way the whole world knew who that oxen belonged to. So wherever if that oxen would get astray or go off in someone else's field, it would easily be identified as whose master that is. And it really convicted me, and I was like, you know what, God? When I get on stage, if I want to be known for anything, if I want my brand to be standing for anything, I don't want my brand to be about George Moss. I don't want brand to be about my name. I don't want to put my face on t-shirts. I don't want to be a Justin Bieber. I want to be someone that is known for carrying your yoke and following your ways. So it inspired me to create this clothing brand called Oxen Apparel. So you might have seen it over at the worship center last night. You're like, what that thing is. And I want to tell you guys, because most of you guys have never seen me or heard of me or anything like that before. And it wasn't because I wanted to sell a t-shirt. It wasn't because I wanted to make a bunch of money. It's because I wanted to represent the master whose yoke I wanted to carry. And if anybody saw me in that yoke, I wanted to know that that's what I'm about. So I don't want to see me on stage wearing a brand that promotes all the things that God hates, because that's what this world says you should do. Guys, that tells us that that's what we should seek, that's what we should look for, that's what we should want in women. And I look at you girls, I mean, you guys are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and our world that we live in would want to just diminish you into something like that to put you on a t-shirt. And that's not what we're called to do. And I was like, you know what, that's not what I'm going to wear. That's not what I want to represent. I want to represent something that really means who I really am. So I launched this clothing brand, right? And it's really about who I am. And I get a chance to do this. And I get a chance to go out and do concerts and events and share this message with a bunch of different people. There's a lot more to that story of boxing, which I'll share a little bit later in the week. But I remember being at a camp just like this. It's actually up in the mountains of Colorado. And what I love about Christian camps and about a camp where you get a chance to be around other teens, other people your age that are all wanting to worship God. They all want to get closer to Him. And when you're in this little bubble, you can get on this spiritual high. And God starts to speak to you in ways that you never would ever hear Him when you're back at home. Now imagine I'm out there 10,000 feet on this big mountain. It's a big Christian camp, and they're doing all these things. And I remember they had some Hebraic dancers out there that were like doing dances and things like that. And there was worship going, and it was just like God was just really tugging at my heart. So I'm in the middle of worship, and the only thing I could think of at the time was like, man, I gotta pee. I know you weren't expecting that, but anyway. We've all had those moments. So, but at the same time, I'm still in this mode of worship, and I go to the bathroom, getting ready to go do my business, and I realize there is this little ant that was like in the toilet bowl, and he's struggling around like he can't swim. And he's struggling in this toilet bowl, in this mess, in this water. I'm like, and now, guys, if you're with me, you understand, when you see an ant in the toilet bowl when you're back at home, the first thing you think is target practice, right? Yes. It's what it is. Ladies, you wouldn't understand this, but guys, you understand. But God is speaking to me, and he's showing me myself in this little ant. He's showing me how I'm struggling in all this mess when I'm back at home. But he's pulled me out of this mess, and he brought me here to be closer to him. And that's what he's calling me to do for other people. So I was like, all right. And God's just like, hey, take this ant out of the toilet. I'm like, God, that's nasty. I don't want to do that. He was like, well, just get a piece of paper towel, dummy. So I get a little piece of paper towel. I put it in the toilet, the ant crawls up, and he sets him down on the floor. And I'm like, okay, I got him out of this mess. And just as I was gonna, do what I came there to do, I noticed the ant started to crawl back up the toilet and to get right back into the same mess that he was in. And I was like, and God was like, yep, that's you. We can come to events like this, and we have these spiritual highs where we get a chance to be around all these other people, and God is speaking to us in ways that he's never has before. But I've been to hundreds of these camps, and I'm excited about this week. But I want you to know at the beginning to prepare for the end, because you're gonna go back home, and the same stuff you were struggling with is still waiting on you when you come back off this mountain. And God is not saying, hey, just come out for this little bit of time. My hope is that you would not just go back to the same mess that you were in, but you would say, God, I don't want to go back and to be around these kids and just conform to this community. But the truth is, we're going to get back, and especially as teenagers, and not just teenagers, as adults too, you want to go back and you want to conform to the world that's around you. I know that for myself as an artist. You can always get caught up on how many other Instagram numbers people have, or how much more money someone makes, or how much more successful you feel like they have, and you start to measure your success by the world standards. You start to measure how cool you look by the world standards. God is saying, don't go back into that same mess. It is time to turn and walk away from the same mess and allow me to pull you out. You're supposed to be holy. You're supposed to be different. You're supposed to be set apart. And not to go and look like the rest of the world and act and think and dress like the rest of the world, listen to the same music as the rest of the world. But take this living word of God that we have in us, and take this love that we have in us and share it with the rest of the world. So I wanted to do one song today for you guys. It's probably one of the most important songs I've ever written in my whole time. But I need you guys to be my big black gospel choir, like back in church, just with a bunch of white people in it. Can y'all do that? All right. I want y'all to say, I'm ready, ready, ready.
I'm ready, ready, ready.
To take on the world. I'm ready, ready, ready.
I'm ready, ready, ready.
To take on the world. When everything's falling apart, I'm not giving up. Because I'm feeling like I'm ready, ready, ready. To take on the world. I think they got it. I think they got it. So I want y'all to sing this one with me. If you know it, cool. If you don't, just pretend like you do, okay? But you can't just sit there and look at me. I need you guys to actually participate. So you ain't got to get crazy or nothing right now. Just snap your fingers with me on beat. It's been a rocky road. Seen a lot of things. Flew a million miles. Sometimes I'm broken wings. I've learned that Photoshop can make the grass green. But in real life, it ain't the way it seems. Ignorance is bliss, and lies are sweet. The truth is bitter, but it'll set you free. I've lost a lot of sleep, and I even paid a fee to sit down and look up to people that's just as tall as me. I used to think I was handed a disadvantage, cause nothing I would do would end up the way I planned it. But God can put your heart under pressure until it breaks. And when you think it's falling apart, it falls in place. I was head of my class, school of hard knocks. But I know that the pain just made me strong as an ox. I walked the stage and the graduation is finished, but I know this is just the beginning. Cause I'm feeling like I'm ready, ready, ready to take on the world. Let me see your hands to the sky like this. I'm feeling like I'm ready, ready, ready to take on the world. It's like when everything is falling, I'm not giving up, nah, because I'm feeling like I'm ready, ready, ready to take on the world. Sing a toast. It didn't happen fast. I had to wait. I had to pull some weeds, find a couple snakes. Looking back at school and all my dumb mistakes, wasted time and money, credits I didn't take. Plus all the teachers that lied to me to my face. They said the sky's the limit, but now I'm in outer space where lights are so bright and music is so loud. I hear the fans cheer, my family is so proud. But one thing I've learned about jumping out in the crowd is those that lift you up eventually let you down. See, when everything is crazy, I'm tired and feel lazy. Remember, Jesus went to that cross, he died to save me. The world could be against me, hate me and try to break me. I know my God will not forsake me. That's why I'm feeling like I need y'all to sing louder than that. I'm feeling like let's go and get her. And sing when everything is falling. I'm not giving up, nah, because I'm feeling like y'all sing it. Sing, take on the world. 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 See, welcome to this world of entertainment where everybody's famous. Everybody's trying to make $1 and some changes. And people wonder why money don't attract me, but don't believe the answer to the question when they ask me. Look, I've been around the world. I've seen the way it twirls. And I've been tempted by money, cars, and pretty girls, and a bunch of other stuff that y'all don't know. But I don't want to lose my soul. So stand up. Ready, ready, ready to take. I'm ready. Yeah, I said I'm feeling like and sing when everything's falling. When everything is falling, I'm not giving up. Nah, because I'm feeling like I want y'all to sing it like you mean it. I'm feeling like sing, I'm feeling like let's go and get 'em. And sing when everything is falling. I'm not giving up, nah, because I'm feeling like I'm ready to take on the world. Take on the world. Hey, thank y'all so much for listening. I can't wait